stories are important, we all tell them. Just have to say two things. I don't want to know which company you're from. I don't want to know which degrees you've gotten. I don't want to know anything else except two things. One is something you can't separate yourself from because it'll be very difficult to live otherwise, which is your name. Give me your name. Second thing, explain who you are without explaining anything else about you, things you have achieved, things you have gotten, companies you have worked for. So for me, I'll start with, I'm Anupam. I love to tell stories. That's pretty much the sole purpose of my existence for me. I'm Anupam. I love to tell stories. I'll give you 2 minutes to think about it because a lot of people don't think about it, I guess. So we'll just talk and just take a minute or whatever time you like to take. And I'll ask a few questions. I'll just ask anyone. If you want to answer, it's of course voluntary. So if you don't want to answer, it's fine. If you want to do, just tell me what your name is and who you are without getting into the specifics of it, because pretty much storytelling is that, like life without the dull parts. So let's see that. 30 seconds. Yes, sir.
I'm Anupam. I like to get shit done.
You're Anupam?
Yes.
Lovely. Lovely. That's so lovely. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Bharat. I love to solve problems.
What a beautiful thing to say.
I'm Samitra. I'm a sports enthusiast.
What a lovely thing to say. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ashutosh. My aim is to remove pain as a barrier to fulfilling life for people.
Pain as a barrier to fulfilling life for people. Okay. Sir.
Hey all, Sam. I like to unlearn and learn and learn and learn.
There is a recurring theme there.
Yeah, that's what life is.
Yeah, lovely. Sir.
Hey, I'm Pushkar. I love adventure in every aspect of it.
Lovely.
Hi, this is Vishnu. I like playing, learning and building new things.
Playing, learning and building new things. Lovely. Anyone else? Why don't you answer?
Me?
Oh, yeah.
I'm Paul and I like conversations.
Okay. Fair. Yes, ma'am. I couldn't hear you.
I'm Chandrani and I love gaming as well as storytelling, so that's I'm here.
Nice.
I'll also.
Yes, please.
I'm Piyush Bansal, apparently not the follower of Landscape.
But that's the problem. Your existence cannot be a negation of someone else's existence. I asked who you are. You said who you are not.
I love hosting events and doing the past now.
Lovely. Lovely. That makes sense. Sir.
I love challenges.
Lovely.
Suddenly, I am trying to explore my place in the world.
Oh, that's an existential one. Yes. Sorry, one more. Can we please shut the door? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Arvind. I'm a robot with a heart.
We have AGI. Okay.
Kunal, and I love to work in ambiguity.
So, very interesting. Very interesting. He's Kunal. He loves to work in ambiguity. I'm still trying to figure that out. Yes.
I'm Vrinda. I'm a passionate ideator.
Do you execute them?
Yes.
Okay. I know a few people who are passionate ideators. That's it. Okay. I think we're done with most people. Okay. Why I did this is because this is what stories are. The moment you have to think or explain or just tell another person, which is what most of us get, like 2 minutes of someone's time to tell them that that's the first thing we want them to know something about us, but we have never really thought about it. And then somebody puts us in that position, we really begin to think. And most of us, when we introduce ourselves in that way, most of the answers are going to be really existential, ambiguity, and solve problems. Existential in the sense, this has a bigger philosophical sense to everything because that's how we attribute ourselves into this world. And somebody said, trying to find my place in the world. All of that pretty much falls in that same genre. And that's how I think humans behave everywhere in the world. Having said that, we'll try doing something. So I'm Anupam, I run Bombay Locale. I love stories, I love startups. And somehow, at some point of time, I realized these two could be combined together. So we made videos for, like, if you've seen, there was an O/ video which a lot of people saw back then, some 3 years back. We made that. That was the first thing we did. Then we started doing international advertising for a lot of companies across the world. Now, what that means is, when we started advertising, the first challenge we had was, there are a lot of people doing really great work in advertising already. We could not have done anything new. Ogilvy was already making great ads. BBDO was already making great ads. And we were trying to understand, find our place in the world. What do we do that others don't, or they don't understand? Turns out we were all engineers. A lot of friends came together. We understood technology. We understood technology, one. We understood stories, two. And what we realized was, nobody, literally nobody in the world at this point of time, there are a few exceptions today, they don't understand how to sell technology to people. At the same time, if we think about life in the past 20, 25 years, everything that we do, it is done through a software. Usse pehle I'll switch to Hindi in a while. So before that, we didn't even need it. We never needed to sell technology. It was always a utilitarian thing for us. Suddenly, it's become such a great part of our lives that, because what is SaaS, if anything, what is SaaS? It's just rows and columns everywhere. And every single company, if it is going to be a $30 billion industry by the end of 2030 or 2040, that means so many SaaS companies. And there's so many SaaS companies. How do you choose which one you're gonna go for? And for that, if I do not differentiate between this set of rows and columns with the other set of rows and columns, I'm not going to be able to use that product. So when we made some video for O/ back when, we realized it solved that problem for them. And I just want to deconstruct that, not O/ essentially, but how we did that. Can we go to the next thing? So I'll show you a video. We did something for Zoho, for their small business CRM. It was a very interesting challenge. They wanted to launch the product in the US, or most of their customers were in the US, paying customers. And they were like, how do we sell a CRM to small businesses in the US without looking like anyone else who does that, without looking like, from a storytelling point of view, without being something else? So I'll first show you the video. And can we switch off the light for once? Pause. Can we switch off the light for a moment, just for the video, if it's possible? If it's not, then it's fine, but I'll try if you can. Thank you. Thank you. This is it? All right. Okay, just play it from the beginning. Wow. Mike?
Let me tell you the story.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the story of our beautiful town. There was country music all around. Back in the day, things used to always happen a certain way. Oh boy. It was a nightmare. Business is hard. It's a CRM for a growing business sector. Now they all use data. The CRM specifically built for businesses like theirs. And not only these folks, anyone can begin.
All right. You can switch on the lights, by the way. So what I'm trying to say is, when we were given this challenge, of course, we made very smaller version. This is the one that goes on the website. It's a little longer, but it's for the website. It's for everyone who wants to even know what it is, to understand what we're trying to achieve here. We made smaller cuts for targeted people, these different businesses that we could go for. The challenge that was presented to us was a CRM for small businesses. How do we sell it? And they were just launching it. This one has, right now it has just on YouTube 10 million views, right? And across other platforms, it's around 30 million. So we asked ourselves this question the first time. I'm just trying to deconstruct just a little, and then we'll do a hands-on workshop in the end where we'll try to sell one product from here, right? So we asked ourselves this question. Usually, when you sell a product, it's usually the coastal businesses in the US. The TG you figure out, and you're like, this is where we want to go. The obvious choice would have been a small business in New York, or let's say California. We thought, okay, when I think of a small business, what do I think? I was thinking of all the people who are still recognizable to me. What I mean by that, my mother and the place where she buys jewelry from, that person has been the same for 20 years. And she's still uncomfortable going to a Tanishq. Not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just how most small businesses operate. They know your house, they know your home, and it's time they got digital. It's time they need to, take the next step because the world is digital. So we thought, what shows the sense of community first? Of course, we were thinking villages and shops, whatever, million things. We thought, okay, let's try to find a sense of community somewhere. Okay. Then we thought, okay, there is a community, but CRM is a pretty boring product in itself. When you think of CRM, you don't think something interesting. You don't think fun. Again, you think boring. How do we make it fun? We thought, again, we arrived at a Western style musical, which looks like it's from Texas. The best person to tell that story, we found out, would be the sheriff, because most people who are going to be doing this will be middle-aged. The biggest audience for this. The people who are going to make decisions to buy this thing. And then we started working on the song and all of that, and we shot this in Bombay. The other challenge was how to execute something like this in Bombay, something that looks like America. A person in the US does not get confused saying कि ये बहुत looks very fake. It has to look real, but that's a separate problem altogether. That is execution, nothing to do with ideation. So we did this, and we realized it works. It really works. Now, how we arrived at this, there was a process to it. There is a certain mystique to storytelling, which in parts is true, but most of it is jargons thrown to you by people in the industry. Just like bankers do not want you to know more about their industry, there are jargons which will just send you off. Doctors will say certain words which will send you off. Creators will say certain words like inspiration. You will be like, this is some mystical thing they're doing which is unachievable and people can't do it. Turns out you can. Can we go ahead? So, like I said, we didn't have most of these things 20 years back. Now everything in our phones is digital, and products of the 21st century need to be sold in a way that they look like they're from the 21st century. And like I said, it's a very big problem in our industry that people do not know, and not for a lack of talent, but more because it's something that has not been done before and people need to learn that. Can we move on? Move on. I'll tell you the most basic way stories are told. If you have you heard of the 3-act structure? Anyone? Okay, you have, okay. Story is usually the most classical form of storytelling. Of course, there is a Pulp Fiction which does not follow a 3-act structure. There's a Gangs of Wasseypur, there's a Super Deluxe. They do not follow the 3-act structure. But before learning anything, we should learn what's the 3-act structure. A 3-act structure is very simple. And that belongs even in product marketing, is what I'm trying to say. Even in a 30-second ad, you will have a 3-act structure. What do I mean by that? The 3-act structure is very simple. Conflict, this is the first act. It's said that, without getting into the specifics of it, at the end of the first act, the conflict should appear. If you do not know in Titanic that Rose is going through a crisis where she has to marry this rich guy, you are not interested in her story. The conflict has to come. If in Jaws, the shark does not eat someone, there's no story to be told. If in Ramayana, Ram is not sent on a vanvas, the story does not begin at all. If the Dhobi never had said anything, there would be no Agni Pariksha, right? So stories come from a certain sense of conflict. Then there's the second act, which is more and more struggle. How do you get to that thing? And then there's the third act, which is the resolve. The first moment you see a conflict, there is a mandatory image in your head that this is how it's going to end. Now the creator has to make a better image so that he can one-up you. Otherwise, again, you'll be like, this is a bad story, I could guess everything. This is the 3-act structure. In products, there is a conflict, of course, that's why you make products. And there is a resolve, of course. That's what the product is for. The only thing you need to do is minimize the struggle. Second act, the smaller the second act is in a product, and the way you tell it also, it becomes very evident. I'll give you an example. One of the most famous ones, actually. There are some things money can't buy. And you know this line, most of you, by heart. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there is MasterCard. There is a 3-act structure here. What is the conflict? And they have played so beautifully on the conflict itself. They did not solve it. They put it there in your head. There are some things money can't buy, that's a fact. They did not even make an ad about MasterCard. They made an ad about fathers with children. They made an ad about, I don't know, you know the emotional moments they touch on. So like Piyush said, I'm not Piyush Bansal from Flipkart, that's what they did really. In a story sense. Because MasterCard can't buy something else, but everything utilitarian, here it is. You just liked it. You just loved it. Here, when people were telling me their things, most of them followed the conventional 3-act structure, and some of them had the non-conventional routes, like somebody said problems to solve problems and solutions and problems and solutions, something like that. Learn and relearn, learn and relearn, learn and relearn. That's not the classic 3-act structure. It works because it's clever, it's nice. Somebody said, I love to live in ambiguity. The statement itself is ambiguous, but it works. It makes an image in my head. I don't even know what the image is, to be honest. So, it's very important to understand what the product is trying to solve, and the most basic framework to do it for any person who is doing product, to understand the conflict, the struggle, the resolve. And here's the thing that most people fail to realize. They don't even imagine a person at the end of it who is using a product. They think a problem, but problems occur to people. We're not solving it for a tree or a table. We're solving it for people. How do we do it? Can we go on? All right. So, again, a lot of grammar. Like I said, I can't tell you much about product. I can only tell you about stories. So, there's adjectives and navrasas. What do they mean? You've heard of navrasas? In theater, we have those 9 rasas, and we have like hasya, krodh, prem, bhay, karuna, and all of those. Emotions, basically. There are 9 sorts of emotions, and some of them are negative, some of them are positive. All of advertising, all of storytelling, all of product launch comes under this, trust me. Because insurance every time you're sold insurance, what are you being sold? You're being sold fear. Somebody has to die for insurance to work. When you're selling Coca-Cola, pretty much, when you're selling dairy milk, what are you selling? You're selling Abhi, right now they're doing Shangar. There's a boy, there's a girl, and there'll be some story around that. If you can figure out, and this is the most concise way I think I have tried to figure out this, which rasa does it fall into? Does it fall into hasya? So every time I get a brief nowadays, 95 out of 100 times, there is this word in the brief where they say quirky. Everybody tells me, two words hote actually, quirky and viral. I do not know how to do both. How do I make a viral video? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Like Pixar doesn't know. And quirky. Quirky is still different because you might not laugh at the same joke I laugh at. So my quirk may be so different from yours that everything can go to just shits right there. They don't work. That's what I'm trying to say. You can't figure it, you can't put it into those three brackets. Ki aisa kar dete hain, let's do this, 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 and it'll be done. What do you need to do then? Figure out your product more is what I'm trying to say. So, adjectives. If I'm selling a flight ticket, let's go deeper. If I'm selling a flight ticket, a brand would love to be known as comfortable. Another brand would love to be known as cheap. And trust me, when I'm saying this, you're literally thinking of the flights. When you think cheap, which airlines come to your head? Yeah. When you're thinking comfortable, a lot of us were sad hearing that Vistara is going to shut down. There is a reason behind that. They have positioned themselves in a way that Vistara shutting down affects us personally. People were so loyal to it, they were posting playlists. There was a Spotify playlist somebody posted which said, this is the Vistara playlist, soon it'll be gone. Please save it for yourself. I saved it. Nice story, no? So adjectives. What is the adjective you're going to use? So, can you please shut the door? Thank you. Thank you. So I keep thinking of it. We made the first campaign for Rapido in India. And you know, when the brief came to us, it was like, we are the cheapest. And we are like, no. Everybody looks for cheap on Google. Nobody says we want to go on a cheap ride. You can't sell cheap to anyone, even if it's true. You're going to hurt people. If you say cheap, you do this cheap. We said we can only go with fast. Even though your USP is cheap, but that's not the thing you should be selling at all. And it worked. Well, that campaign had around 50 million views when we did that. Because cheap doesn't sell. And a lot of things don't sell. And it is obviously, there's no framework to it. Every product, by virtue of being different, will offer very new avenues for storytelling. Every story will be different. When I run this company, most of the times I'm asked, because we work with startups, tech companies, softwares all over the world. The most frequently asked question to me is, okay, lovely work, bahut acha kar rahe ho tum log, very, very nice, very, very nice. But scale hi nahi ho sakta hai to. This can't be scaled. And that's a very interesting question. For most of the time, for the first few years, we were so worried. Because this question was being asked, you run storytelling, but it can't be scaled. First 3 years, we were so nervous about it. And then we found the answer. It is a one-word answer. And they would ask, ye scale nahi kar sakte, and I would say, to. So what's the, I don't understand. Ki nahi kar sakte, and is that a reason to not make a business? It's a good business. We love telling stories. I have 25 people who have left their very lucrative jobs who come and work with us. Because there must be something to it. It must justify something in their soul. So I'm sure not everything in the world is scalable. And I'm also a very strong believer in the fact not everything in the world should be scalable. Right? So adjectives, navrasas, two things which are very important. You find out what adjective does it go with. Like, give me any adjective. Fast, calm, headspace, sells calm, confidence, convenience. Somebody said something. Huh? Affordable. Yeah, that's a better way of saying cheap. Yeah, but that's how you should say cheap. Never affordable. Never cheap, affordable. Anyone else? Basically, adjectives. Now you have navrasas. It's something that is very different from what we usually do, like as people, as product people. I think there's a sense, there's some, semblance, there's some sense in actually trying to find out जो end consumer है उसको कौन सा, which rus are you evoking in that person? What are the adjectives? And should not be more than 5. It cannot be more than 5 or 4. Try to stick to 1. At max 2. Don't sell them 5 adjectives, which is again something we have a tendency to sell every time we make a launch film for a company, because they are working so hard. They have put in like 200 features into it. Beautiful features. Not everybody is going to be impressed by them just because we have made it. That is indulgence. We have to find those 4 features, 3 features, 2 features. And if you find them, because it will take you a lot of thinking, those 2 things that you need to explain yourself. One is your name and the other is what you make others feel. Same for products. There is a reason companies in legal language are separate entities. They're treated as people, not as I don't know, whatever you think of a company, right? The company is people. Okay. Now, moving on, we are thinking about a brand image. What is a brand image? And I've thought hard and long about it, and just like most important questions, the answer is very simple. What is a brand image? Everybody keeps telling me whenever I'm working on a product, it should serve the brand image. It should do this. It should do this. And the most simple answer I got over the years when I was thinking of a brand image is just this. What's the image that comes to your mind when you think of that brand? And I'll give you examples. When you think Nike, I might be wrong for some people, but we are all unanimously thinking of a person athletic. I think in black for a lot of us, and running. That's the brand image. There's nothing else that you can call a brand image. You can talk a million things about, you can write books, but a brand image is just that single image that you form here when you think of a brand. And you think of all those SaaS companies, product companies that you're here from. Is there that brand image that is available to you? Right? Second, just guess randomly. We don't have to just say anything. Campus shoes. Affordable, but what is the image? That is the adjective. Yeah? I'll go one step ahead. In that image, do you see a small town or a large town? There is a reason to it. They have put that image like very consciously, putting a lot of effort into creating one singular image in your head. We might all have different images, but it sort of falls in the same category. Colgate. Yeah? Hero Honda. Someone riding, and it usually sells, the adjective I have attributed is, it usually tries to sell you freedom. You see it open. You don't see it in a garage. It's riding somewhere, right? Mercedes. Up now, Mercedes and BMW, 2 very interesting examples, because they fall in the same world, but at the same time. Which is BMW? Which one is BMW to you though? BMW, what do you see?
More performance oriented.
Yeah.
More, I would say, more luxury.
Charisma and style, panache, all of that, right? There's Coca-Cola, and then there's Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola only sell, like they try to sell it to families. I think Coca-Cola, and every single ad I've seen, they carefully put families in there. Thumbs Up tries to sell, someone else. And again, for launch specifically, for a launch film, it has to really, the people who are trying to make it work should really understand what their product is about. So we did it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. Who are we talking to? You read the questions. What's the target audience? This is not a random question, by the way. It looks random. This is not a random question. It tells me a lot about the person. It's such a specific question. Go on. I'm trying to understand who we're talking to. What do we want to say? Again, because nobody knows what a key message really is. I'm not saying nobody knows. I'm not trying to critique on the industry. I really wanted to get better at doing this stuff.
Why is the pie?
Huh?
Why is the pie thing important?
Pie thing is important. Go back. No, I'm saying, do you want to, when somebody says quirky, that is what I mean. Do you want it to be very random? Or do you want to be, because this is very random. Do you want to say, cred says the most random things, right? It is random. Huh. Okay. Is this it? Okay. Yeah. And again, when I ask references, every time you get apple jaisa banana hai. That's the bread and butter of every reference that most people get. And that's nothing wrong with it. I've really gotten really good inspirations also from when people send me you have those moments when somebody sends you something very specific and you know this is exactly what they want, this is exactly how it should be done. And they're so specific. They might be a first-time founder who have run the company for 3 months, but they know exactly what they want. And then a lot of other confusions. So this is it. Okay. Can we go back? Yes. Briefs are very important whenever you want to. So you have to first understand your product. I'm saying the most redundant thing, but you really have to. Go on. You know this again. This is the most storytelling thing ever. The 5 W's. Because who do you want it to say, to be said to for our video? We were trying to say it to small businesses. What were we trying to say? Well, it's a fun little app. It's colorful. You are colorful. Come. Because small businesses are not very self-serious. They're serious in their work. They're not self-serious. So what are we trying to say? If you do your CRM work really nice, if you want to do manage everything in your business is little, I know, and you're very intimidated by CRMs, let's make something fun for you. You'll not be intimidated. They don't go to use a Salesforce because of that. When the moment of conflict arises, where Texas, US, that's what we picked because it gave me a sense of community. Why? The first question, which you answer through the brief or whatever you want to do. Next. And then you have how to do it, which we tried to figure. So what we'll do now, and how much time do I have? It's over? Go on. So, okay. We'll try to do one little thing. Let's try and do it. And again, a very voluntary thing. If any of you have a product that you want to find a story about, I think we'll manage to do a decent, not a very good job because of course it's hard work to do it. We will try to find a way because there's so many minds here, so many good minds here. We might find a story for one product at least. Let's pick any product. If somebody has a product they want to launch, anybody, yes sir.
You recently did an AI chatbot for online learners.
AI chatbot for online learners.
So the target audience here is anyone between, let's say, 24 to 35.
Okay.
To study something online.
Give me a moment. Pen. I want a pen. Do you have a pen? So sorry. Thank you, sir. Yes, you were saying AI chatbot for... Okay.
Purely anchored on the content that they have access to. So this is the... and the chatbot is available... Again, speaker.
Yes.
The chatbot is available 24 hours, whereas faculty members are not available. The chatbot...
What numbers are not available?
Faculty members to answer their doubts are not available. These are actual academic doubt-related chatbots.
Okay. Okay.
Faculty members cannot be available all the time. There is booking, etc., which can be eliminated in this. They can use the chatbot anytime, anywhere.
Don't go into so many features. Don't go into, because that's where you will miss the entire product. I got 2 things until now. The person who I'm talking to, you forgot to mention which is your, the user base, are they male, are they female, who they are?
Students, learners.
No, but everybody uses it equally?
Everyone uses it.
Okay.
So, majorly people who do not want to spend time and money in university education.
Okay. Okay.
Bachelor's and master's programs online.
Okay. Okay. And it's open 24/7 across the world? This is being done when faculty members are not available. So they go to the AI chatbot.
And they ask questions.
They have a question.
They get an answer to the question,
Okay.
which is synthesized by AI.
Yeah.
And they get references from their own textbook on what they should read more to understand this.
Cool. Do you have to input anything before asking the question? Not the question itself, that this is what I'm studying? No. Not at all. Okay. So who? What is the who here? The 5 W's we talked about, who are we talking to? Also, one more question. Every time I sell, let's say a book or no, I should not say Byju's right now, but let's say every time I'm selling an edutech app, I'm selling it to the kids, but I know the decision maker is going to be the parent. You sell it to the parent. It's the person using it is the decision maker. Is it free? Is it subscription based? It's free. Okay, interesting. So who 24 to 35 years olds and professionals and like any gender, and they are second thing, who ho gaya? When do they need it? When the faculty isn't available. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. When? Every when, right? Okay, next question. Where?
Anyway.
Okay.
It's a laptop.
It's a laptop. The hero image is a laptop. So, we have added a mobile. Okay. Who, when, where we have done. What are we trying to say? The what of the question. Huh. What will you tell them?
If you ask it here, you will immediately get a proper answer for it.
Okay, we have to make that appealing, right? That is the entire objective. You have a question, ask us. That's what you're saying? Academic question also you mean?
Only academic.
Okay. You have a question? Let me know whenever I have to leave, guys. So sorry. You have a question? Yes. I'll answer. Okay. And the last is, why are you saying this? Why are you making this product is basically what I'm asking. Why are you making this product?
Okay, why am I making? Basically, all our learners are professionals who go to office and other things. Same time, our faculties also.
Yeah.
So they study during the late hours, they study during the evenings. Their faculties are also not available. So when they actually get a doubt, they get the doubts answered, let's say, one day at minimum.
So it's not the adjective I was looking for. Yeah? It's convenience. At the tip of your hands, at the tip of your fingers, you click, you get the answer. You are not, dependencies are all. You're not dependent. There is a certain sense of freedom there. Yes? Agreed? I found convenience. Two adjectives that I tried to find was convenience and freedom, I guess. Because freedom you can always sell to 25 to 35 years old. You can't sell it to 45-year-old. That means sannyas. You never sell freedom to a 50-year-old, 45-year-old. Families will be broken, right? So, freedom and convenience is what we are talking about. Money is not even question because it's free, so it's affordable. Of course, we'll not talk about it at all. We'll just leave it out of the park. Okay. Have you ever thought what your brand is? It is, again, the same thing. The difference between ChatGPT and Grok AI. Like one is wild and one is very...
It's a focus learning application.
So it's serious. It's serious. The tone is serious. Okay.
Not quirky.
Not quirky. Okay.
One viral the thing is like, is it more of a B2C or a B2B? Like, are you trying to sell it to people like organizations that have a heart?
I've...
Maybe like some aversion to older teachers can be sold.
Yeah.
Some aversion to older teachers can be sold well.
I'm just not able to hear you. I'm so sorry.
They don't want to talk to the teachers.
Yeah. Oh, that's a very good thing to, I think, which is the biggest, Prajati in the world. Most of us in this room, I guess. That's why I started with I like to listen, but I have to talk.
You can take that in your exam room also.
That makes it quirky. He's not going for it. Okay. I think that's a very good point. I think I would like to capitalize on that also, because that's my target consumer, most of internet target consumer for me, because good students by that I mean people who ask questions. I was a bad student in that particular way. I could never ask questions in the classroom. I would come home and then understand this. And you have told me the tone, so Navrasa as we talked about, remember? Serious is not a rust. It's not an emotion. It's how you behave. What is the emotion you attach to your product? If you want a rundown of the emotion, it's very hard to figure that out because as a founder, it's very hard to figure that out. So there's 9 of them. There's Hasya, which is laughter, which you said, I don't want this. There's Shrangar, which is love. Shrangar, Prem. There's Krodh, which is anger. And also the negative emotions are already out. You can't talk about Bhay except insurance. You just don't talk about Grena at all. Except in Eno. You're like, When you're making an ad about Eno, you use do sell disgust. When you were used to, if you have seen that ad as a child, BTEX, those images of people just itching themselves, people are selling disgust basically is what I'm trying to say. Every emotion is sold. Can you find one? Joy?
But one question, emotion at what point? When people will...
It's always at the point of solving the problem. The problem you're solving, I think, that's my belief. It can be wrong.
So you associate emotion at a level which is like people want to buy it more or adopt this even more. That's what we talk.
Again, we will have to talk about where the company is. Do they want people to just adopt it or do they want to buy it? And just...
The image that you create versus what somebody actually gets out of it. Like,
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
I think when I use that product, any product that I'm trying to use.
Because then your ICP is different because it can vary depending on what the messaging is.
Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. That's why we're trying. We will have to try to, I think we'll have a lot of questions asked, which I'll ask him, where we'll try to bottle down and come to that one singular answer. Right now, when I say ICP, it's very scattered, of course. We are thinking of every single 24 to 35-year-old that I can imagine. And those people are usually imaginary. I'm not thinking of a single person. I think we'll come to that ICP after a lot of questioning. But for this 10-minute session, I think we'll arrive at something which is of value to him. That's my idea, right? I'm sure I cannot solve your problem. I'm sure at this point in 5 minutes, I'm going to be unable to write a campaign for you. I'm sure we'll find some right questions to ask, which is the best thing we can get out of this, right? So for me, at this moment, what I would like to know is, at the moment of the problem being solved, because conflict is always going to cause you problems only. So at that moment, it's always going to be conflict. It's always going to be key. If it's a financial product, you can't do recon. If it's a, webinar product, the speakers have just not come in. If it's anything else, the problem is in some form or the other, it's a conflict, it's some sort of discomfort that you're getting. At the moment of the problem being solved or in the process of it, what does it bring? And like I said, the second act has to be smaller. If you completely remove the second act, but the professor is the second act in your case, which we have removed from the entire question. So the moment of, to answer your question, at the moment of the problem being solved, what do you think the user is feeling? Which emotion that you want to associate? Happiness. Joy, yes. Shant. Hasya is the only one which comes close to it because one of the positive emotions. Is there any other emotion which? Adbhut, surprise, yes. Adbhuta is a rus. Is pride. Yeah, you're right. See. So the scientist wants to know less and less, like more and more of less and less. The poet wants to know less and less of more and more. So when Led Zeppelin writes, I'm a traveler of both time and space. They don't understand time. They don't understand space. It just rhymes. So what I'm trying to say is, what we are trying to do is so subjective that somewhere you can fit every emotion.